On behalf of Greater Memphis Chamber, we will highlight people and companies who offer a forward-leaning approach to the growth of our great city. We will share a closer look at what makes Memphis attractive for economic growth, innovation, and expansion, as well as talent retention, tourism, education, good health, and great business. Welcome to Memphians on the Move. I'm your host, Stephanie White. Founded in 1971 by Frederick W. Smith in Little Rock, Arkansas, FedEx Corporation in 48 years has grown to become the world's largest carrier shipping service, operating in over 200 countries today. With the goal of hiring 55,000 worldwide employees prior to the holiday season, FedEx has partnered with Greater Memphis Chamber for the Upskill 901 Workforce Summit. Joining me today is FedEx Express Regional President, U.S. Executive VP Global Support, Richard Smith. Richard, welcome to Memphians on the Move.
Well, thank you.
So Richard, FedEx is such a colossal staple in Memphis with such a rich history. So might we begin with how the company started?
Sure. Well, it's well documented that it began with that infamous term paper written by my father, Fred Smith, when he was in college. But the idea itself was really aimed at what was then the burgeoning tech sector. The idea being that as technology entered the workplace, if some machinery, a copier, a printer, a computer broke, that you would absolutely positively have to have that part as quickly as possible. In some respects, it was an idea that was almost ahead of its time. A lot of people think of Federal Express in the early days and they think of documents, but it actually wasn't until years later that we were allowed to carry documents. So those were some pretty lean years. When Federal Express started up, I think there were less than 300 employees. There was service to 25 cities. We had 14 Dassault Falcon aircraft and a woefully small number of packages on the first night of operations. I think it was less than 200. The number I heard was around 185 actually. But the main concept was essentially the hub and spokes model, right? It's like a central clearinghouse, if you will, essentially saying that the fastest way between any 2 points on a map was to take them through a central clearinghouse or the hub and then push it out on the spokes back out into the market. It created tremendous efficiency, and it connected markets more efficiently than you ever could before. So you could absolutely positively deliver things overnight. And it fundamentally changed supply chains and our world forever.
All right, so from Little Rock, Arkansas to Memphis, Tennessee, why Memphis?
Well, my father grew up in Memphis for one thing, but that's not really why we chose Memphis for our central hub and our headquarters in the early days. It was really three reasons. One was just geography. I mean, when you look at the United States, if you were to put a pin right in the center of the United States and then adjust for those heavy populations on the East Coast, particularly in the 70s, so right, this is when we were just domestic operation. With NAFTA trade now, I would say Memphis is even more perfectly located geographically. But just accounting for those heavy populations on the East Coast, geographically, Memphis was right where you wanted to be able to come off the West Coast and provide that overnight service to the East Coast, particularly with the time zones working against you. So geography was a big component to it. Second was weather. The aircraft back in those days and the equipment that the pilots navigated by, weather was a bigger factor than I would say it is today. And we had very good temperate weather in Memphis, not a lot of snow, not a lot of fog. And then third, and I think very important, is a great business climate. We had a community that was willing to work with us in the early days. We had a great group at the airport running the airport back in those days. Ned Cook, who ran the airport, worked very closely with us and was very accommodating. So having that great business climate that embraced us in the early days was probably the third critical factor for Memphis being our ultimate headquarters and major hub city.
All right, now the core to FedEx's philosophy is people, service, profit. Tell us about your culture as a global company.
Sure. Well, PSP, people, service, profit, as you said, it guides us in everything we do. You have to view it, though, as a virtuous circle, right? And it really amounts to this. If you take good care of your people, if you give them the right training and support, you give them competitive pay, and you treat them right, they will provide a superior service. They will give greater discretionary effort than the employees of your competitors. And if they provide a better service, then you should get a better return, so you get the profits. You take the profits, you reinvest them in the people, and the circle continues.
All
That's the fundamental philosophy behind PSP and how it's supposed to work. You combine that with our Purple Promise, which is our external philosophy. It's our promise to our customers. It also applies internally to internal customers and stakeholders that you work with within the company. But it simply says, I will make every FedEx experience outstanding. It couldn't be more simpler. This is the promise we make to our customers, to the communities we operate in, to one another every day when we work alongside team members. And it's very, very powerful. And then I'd say the third element of our culture that's increasingly becoming important is our Quality-Driven Management Program, or QDM as we call it for short. This is simply how we drive a lot of waste and inefficiency out of our business. It empowers team members to work on QDM projects to target waste and inefficiency and drive it out. It trains them in the methodology and the terminology so we're all speaking the same language from a quality perspective, and it is extremely powerful. It has contributed hundreds of millions of dollars to our bottom line, and that comes from the employees and the team members themselves working these QDM projects religiously. So it has been a very powerful tool. So I'd say those three things, PSP, the Purple Promise, and QDM, really define our culture and kind of sum it up.
More with Richard Smith on diversity and community engagement after the break. You're watching Memphians on the Move.
Miracles. What we deliver by delivering.
Hello, welcome to Christ Community.
I immediately felt something different. You know, it's loving care because loving is living up to their name. It's complete care with medical, dental, behavior health, and pharmacy right in my community. Loving care for your body, mind, and spirit. Call 901-842-3160 or log on to christcommunityhealth.org for an appointment. Christ Community Health Services. Healing with soul.
Our goal is to help Memphis grow. We give member businesses the support they need to reach their full potential. We work with site selectors and relocating companies to demonstrate the advantages of doing business in Memphis. We advocate with local, state, and federal governments on behalf of our members, and we pursue investment opportunities that enrich our communities. We also partner with educational and vocational programs to provide a skilled workforce. Plus, we support initiatives that help make Memphis a great place to live. Join your Greater Memphis Chamber today.
Listen to my story about a man named Jed. A poor mountaineer barely kept his family fed. And then one day he was shooting at some food, and up through the ground come a bubbling crude. Black gold, Texas tea. Well, the first thing you know, old Jed's a millionaire. The kinfolk said, Jed, move away from there. Said, California is the place you ought to be. So they loaded up the truck and they moved to Beverly.
Opportunity. What we deliver by delivering.
Welcome back to Memphians on the Move. I'm joined by Richard Smith, Regional U.S. EVP of Global Support at FedEx Express. Now, Richard, before the break, we learned about the employee and leadership culture of FedEx. What is FedEx doing in diverse communities?
Well, I'm extremely proud that FedEx is strategically aiming to meaningfully impact the communities where we live and work. And we do this by creating educational and career opportunities for underserved young adults and veterans. At FedEx, we understand there is no single pathway to success, and we are passionate about helping people acquire the skills and the education that allow them to access opportunity. Our FedEx Cares Employment Pathways program, for example, connects job seekers with employers. It provides training for in-demand jobs, and it breaks down barriers to higher education. These efforts are rooted in our belief that every young person deserves a chance to access opportunities that lead to success in work and in life.
And to bring it closer to home, what can you share about engagement in the Mid-South?
Well, we're extremely engaged in the Mid-South as the largest employer here, not just locally in Memphis and Shelby County, but actually I believe in the state of Tennessee. So we're extremely engaged. Our FedEx Pathfinder program is a great example of one initiative that FedEx developed to recruit talented young people from alternative channels into IT jobs. That is a huge growth area for us. It's a huge need. So this program to funnel them into IT jobs and connect people with high wage work in that area is an outstanding one. It was inspired by the First Job Compact proposal set forth by the White House and the Department of Labor in 2016, which encouraged communities and businesses to connect out of school, out of work youth and young adults to their first jobs. We piloted the program in June 2017, changing the degree requirements for our developer job so that it no longer requires a degree, but rather a skill set. As a result, we have hired individuals from some of our nonprofit organizations, such as Tech 901, based right here in Memphis, to work at FedEx. Additionally, FedEx Logistics, which I was formerly the CEO of before coming back to Express recently, launched an employment initiative with Mississippi Valley State University, MVSU, in Itta Bena, Mississippi, to provide professional opportunities for students and build a pipeline of diverse talent to support its industry-leading customs brokerage operations. We've established a satellite office on the MVSU campus there in Itta Bena, staffed with qualified students. These students have access to part-time employment while they're in school, with the potential for full-time employment upon graduation. Again, it is a great pipeline for bringing diverse talent into the company, and it supports our need for world-class brokerage operations. Also, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about our Learning Inspired by FedEx program, or the LIFE program for short, which provides a 100% free education through the University of Memphis for our Memphis and Indy-based FedEx Express employees who work at those hubs in those cities, as well as supporting FedEx Logistics employees who work in our express clearance operations, so they can get a full tuition and degree paid for through the LIFE program at the U of M. Other examples of organizations that FedEx supports for in-demand training and access to employment include Tech 901, which I mentioned previously, Code Crew Base Camp, Dress for Success Worldwide, 100K Opportunities, Hiring Our Heroes, Leaders Up, the National Urban League, and many, many more.
Okay, Richard, let's talk more about workforce after a message from Epicenter, the hub of entrepreneurship.
Today is my grand opening. Just the start of a new beginning for Big Mamas and Grannies. Big Mamas and Grannies was actually my big mama and my granny. Everything that they instilled in me, I want to give to others. We specialize in Southern soul to American tradition with a Cajun and Creole twist.
You have to eat the food.
That chicken salad is remarkable.
The macaroni and cheese is literally the best thing you've ever put into your mouth.
My favorite food is macaroni and cheese.
Tanaka represents where passion and perseverance meets resources. Memphis has tons of talented people with gifts. They just don't have the resources to fund those gifts. So I think Tanaka's story represents what Memphis can be.
Pathway Lending is one of those organizations that provide the necessary financing to women-owned businesses and black-owned businesses, even veterans as well. We're in a place that we can provide financing necessary to grow a community from within.
Pathway is a really important partner because they're nationally recognized experts in the distribution of capital to emerging businesses. Together, we solve a very significant challenge for entrepreneurs in Memphis.
Everything that you see in here today, the funding from Pathway Lending allowed me to do that. This has really allowed my vision and my dreams to really come true. A lot of times because you're a woman, you're seen unable to do. So I've always had that determination of nothing can stop me. I'm gonna keep pushing. I wish that everybody in the city of Memphis knew about Epicenter and Pathway Lending. If I'd never gotten a phone call from Epicenter, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't.
We're back with still so much to unpack with FedEx's Richard Smith. What is FedEx doing to stay competitive, Richard, in the hiring process?
Well, FedEx has a very strong brand that has always allowed us to attract the talent from an employment standpoint. FedEx pays wages that are highly competitive in our industry, and we are constantly working to ensure that they remain so, particularly in a tight labor market like we're in now. But we also offer a comprehensive range of benefits for permanent employees, which is becoming increasingly important as healthcare costs rise. So those benefits include medical, dental, vision, 401k, pension, and tuition reimbursement. Also important, we offer people the chance to grow and reach their full potential with FedEx, thanks to excellent training and a strong promote from within culture. In fact, some of our top management started out in entry-level positions with the company here at FedEx. It's a great place to grow and advance your career, and it's these factors, I think, that make FedEx one of the best and most admired companies to work for around the world.
So what is FedEx doing to ramp up its recruiting efforts? Are there any strategies that you can share with us?
Well, due to expansion and the growth of e-commerce, which is driving a tremendous amount of traffic, residential B2C traffic into our network, FedEx has been recruiting and hiring throughout the year. We've been hosting more hiring events and attending sports and local community events in hub markets. FedEx has also been leveraging social media to help bolster our recruiting efforts. As we're approaching peak season, which I always say is our Super Bowl, and last year there were approximately 55,000 seasonal positions added, many of which became full-time opportunities. Well, this year we're adding approximately 55,000 again as demand for our service has grown and our networks have expanded. Events such as the Greater Memphis Chamber's Upskill 901 Job Fair on October 30th serves as a great recruiting event for our organization. I'm extremely proud that job seekers will have an opportunity to connect with multiple FedEx companies on site. Our talented team of recruiters with FedEx Freight, FedEx Express, FedEx Services, and FedEx Ground will be on hand to discuss a variety of open positions.
More with Regional President, U.S. and Executive VP Global Support, Richard Smith, after these messages.
The Greater Memphis Medical Device Council. We were formed with the mission of creating a pipeline of sustainable employees for the industry as a whole. One of the big challenges that the medical device industry has in terms of being able to grow and sustain itself is skilled employees, machinists, metal finishers, inspectors, packagers, all of those essentially hourly employee type positions that are the engine that make those companies run. There are more than 40 medical device companies that are in the orthopedic and spinal implant and instrument business here in the greater Memphis area. Those companies employ more than 6,500 people directly. And those careers that the medical device manufacturers are looking for are people that will actually do the machining of the raw materials to create the implants, people who will do the metal finishing to put the right surface finish on those implants so that they can be ready to go into the human body, people that do the inspection to make sure that the products meet the specifications in terms of the dimensions and the finish and the level of cleanliness of the products. And then also the people that do the packaging, which is a very specific job. It's not just putting something into a box, there's a lot more that goes into that. In the end, there is a great sense of satisfaction about being able to do a very specific job correctly all day long and knowing that you're playing a role in helping to put somebody's life back together, because essentially in orthopedic surgery, that's what that does. It gets people that have been in wheelchairs back up walking again, or gets people that have been in tremendous accidents out of the hospital bed up and walking in essentially a few days. And to know that you're a part of that is very rewarding. Yes, the jobs are available. There are positions that are open. The opportunity is there. The market is growing, and there are additional companies coming into the Memphis area, and they need skilled employees. Memphis has the second largest concentration of medical device companies in the United States. We want that to continue to grow, And a lot of those companies have employees that have been there for a long time because they were great places to work. Get into these companies because you'll have a career that will last for a long time, and it will take care of you and your family. And at the end, you'll know you're doing something to help somebody else. At the same time, you're earning a paycheck. I would advise everybody to give the medical device career a good look because there's multiple opportunities for ways to contribute.
Welcome back to Memphians on the Move. Now, Richard, how has your company worked with Greater Memphis Chamber to invest in talent locally?
Well, for us, creating opportunity for individuals in our hometown city is both a business imperative and a community responsibility. Through our support of the Upskill 901 initiative with the Greater Memphis Chamber, we have the privilege of helping to create new pipelines of talent, both for our company and for others. For several years, we have strategically collaborated and united with other local employers and community organizations to provide career training, professional development, job placement, and access to resources that help build stronger communities. We do this as part of our FedEx Cares Employment Pathways corporate giving pillar, where we are working to help close the skills gap and provide underrepresented populations with access to the resources necessary to thrive in today's competitive workforce.
All right, now FedEx has partnered with the Chamber for Upskill 901. Why was this important?
Well, FedEx is committed to meaningfully impacting the communities where we live and work, as I said, including our headquarters city of Memphis especially. It is our privilege to unite with the Greater Memphis Chamber and other key employers to help our local community access opportunity. Increasingly, having an available and a skilled workforce is becoming the #1 issue for businesses, both those businesses we are trying to attract to our community, as well as those who are already here that we want to retain and grow. If we want to be less reliant on tax breaks, for example, to attract and keep companies, having a great workforce is the key. So, in that respect, you could definitely say that workforce development is economic development, which is the Chamber's primary focus.
All right. We'll have final thoughts with Richard Smith after a message from the desk of Greater Memphis Chamber President Beverly Robertson.
In response to the resounding voices of both job seekers and employers and the expressed need to bridge the gap between talent and opportunities, the Greater Memphis Chamber will convene regional stakeholders from the workforce ecosystem with a major workforce summit entitled Upskill 901, with goals of upskilling 10,000 individuals with technical and essential skills and exposing them to high-demand careers and direct employment opportunities. We will do this over a 12 to 36-month period. We're hosting this two-day summit, which will include breakfast and lunch, keynote addresses from experts, breakout sessions, and CEO roundtables on day one, and a Preparation Meets Opportunity career fair on day two. Here, attendees will be provided multiple resources from on-site registration for programs to employer screenings for open positions. For more information on Upskill 901, the Workforce Summit, visit memphischamber.com.
Come and listen to my story about a man named Jed. A poor mountaineer barely kept his family fed. And then one day he was shooting at some food, and up through the ground come a bubbling crude. Black gold, Texas tea. Well, the first thing you know, old Jed's a millionaire. The kinfolk said, Jed, move away from there. Said, California is the place you ought to be. So they loaded up the truck and they moved to Beverly.
Opportunity. What we deliver by delivering.
Our goal is to help Memphis grow. We give member businesses the support they need to reach their full potential. We work with site selectors and relocating companies to demonstrate the advantages of doing business in Memphis. We advocate with local, state, and federal governments on behalf of our members, and we pursue investment opportunities that enrich our communities. We also partner with educational and vocational programs to provide a skilled workforce. Plus, we support initiatives that help make Memphis a great place to live. Join your Greater Memphis Chamber today.
we deliver by delivering.
So, Richard, what is next for FedEx?
Well, it's no secret that we live in some interesting times, to quote the old Chinese proverb. And of course, the trade situation with China being what it is right now, that's a pretty interesting situation in itself. But since we're here talking about workforce, let's just stick to that. It's no secret that automation is changing our world in profound ways. But I really don't think it's all gloom and doom, as some out there would have you believe. Throughout human history, there have been new innovations which fundamentally changed our society. And that has always had the benefit of unleashing productivity gains, which then led to human beings doing new and different work. Typically work for which they are more highly compensated. And that's what I see coming on the horizon. New technologies like artificial intelligence or machine learning combined with robotics, which will create new types of jobs as human beings interface with these technologies to do more. That's what upskilling is all about, right? If everyone can learn to do a job that's just a little bit more complex than the one they have today, from the C-suite executive on down to the frontline employee, it unleashes more productivity in our world and people move up the ladder, not out of the workforce entirely.
All right, and it's only befitting that we wrap up with final thoughts on Upskill 901 Workforce Summit. What would you say to Memphians regarding engaging in the summit?
Please get engaged. Show up, get involved, recognize that this is the biggest issue facing our company, other companies, and our community at large. It is foundational for our future, and having a great workforce, getting people off the sidelines and into the game, as Chamber CEO Beverly Robertson says, is what will allow us to continue our recent momentum and grow our economy here in Memphis, Tennessee. It can change lives. It will change lives by connecting people and possibilities, which is what FedEx is all about.
All right, and there we have it, directly from FedEx U.S. President and EVP of Global Support, Richard Smith. Richard, thank you so much for spending time with us today. To find out more about available positions at FedEx and its subsidiaries, visit careers.fedex.com. All right, Richard, thank you so much for spending time with us today. Day one of the Upskill 901 Workforce Summit is October 22nd. This day will consist of employers, workforce training and service providers, community organizations, and faith-based organizations with a vested interest in accelerating and upskilling the local workforce to help improve the lives of Memphians. Day two is the career fair, which will consist of more than 60 companies participating with opportunities or services that can help connect workers to employment pathways, jobs, or specialized training or services. And of course, individuals looking for employment, training opportunities, or services to help improve job readiness in the Upskill 901 Workforce Summit. We'll see you next time on Greater Memphis Chamber Presents Memphians on the Move. I'm your host, Stephanie White. Thanks for watching.